A young couple enter into an agreement to live together celibately for the sake of determining their compatibility, as their new sex-obsessed landlord desperately tries to undermine their efforts for the sake of his own pleasures. In the 1963 comedy, Under the Yum Yum Tree. And that's the movie we're dusting off this week on Movie Bones.
You know what drives me crazy?
What?
Time we're wasting. Robin, marry me. Will you?
David, we've been all through that. I won't be lobbied into marriage by overstimulated glands.
Rob, this is different.
But, David, I want to marry you out of love. Deep, real, and absolute. I don't want to be carried away by my own fermenting juices like some girls I know. When the temperatures cooled down, what were they left with? Corroded hopes, unfulfilled dreams, and a house full of children. Well, no thanks, not for me.
Rob.
That's why the plan we've worked out is so perfect, David. To live together without sleeping together. Why, it's an absolutely brilliant way to find out if we're compatible.
It's crazy. Honey, you're asking for a silk-smooth marital future without any problems whatsoever, and there ain't no such animal.
Well, for Pete's sake, we can try.
You're wacky, you know that.
David, it makes very good sense. We find out if we have real character compatibility.
Uh-huh.
To see if we fulfill each other's non-physical needs. Now, David, you agree.
I don't agree. Now, honey, I'm going along with this thing because I happen to be in love with you, but that doesn't alter the fact that you are a genuine gold-plated kook. Who ever heard of normal, supposedly sane people living together in such a nutty setup?
David, I want...
All right. I said I'd go along with it.
Then it's all settled? Oh, David! Oh, all I have to do now is find an apartment.
You know, you're really oblivious. Nobody goes out around here and finds an apartment. I have married friends who've been searching for months.
Don't worry about it. I will find an apartment.
You will
Bye-bye.
find an apartment.
I have to run.
You know, as I settled into this one, I kept thinking to myself, this could go well, or it could be Cactus Flower Part 2. Because, fortunately for me, and I think for you too, it's like this one, it managed to avoid that fate, at least, but by how much is something we're going to talk about in more detail. But
can I say something that I don't know if it's just this is how my brain works, or if maybe you felt it. I'm watching this film, and I'm not kidding you. This is totally offbeat. This is not even in the notes. Every time that dude talks, I'm like, is he doing his best impression of James Stewart? Do you see it?
Is this your first Dean Jones film?
It might be. I mean, I was looking into him, and I know that he's, super, like where he's well known for is like actually some Disney movies. Yeah. And who knows? I might have seen those movies, but like when I was a kid. But it's just, I was sitting there watching the movie, and I was like, every time he talks, I keep thinking of James Stewart.
I never made that connection before. I mean, I think it's a reasonable one to make. If you hear his voice, he's got several of the same kind of vocal quirks, I would say, in his voice. But I think it's natural. He's just either that or he just really listened to a lot of James Stewart when he was at a young and impressionable age or something. Because
yeah, probably. But just random thought.
Yeah, no, I mean, I get it. I totally get it. As far as I knew beforehand, Dean Jones that's his Dean Jones voice. I mean, I've watched Herbie the Love Bug from when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. It's not one of my favorite Disney products, but it is. I do remember it distinctly. He's been in a few other things, but it's always been the same. So yeah, I get it though. But as for this one though, it's like there's something you said in your notes that's pretty spot on. That this movie and at least this story in this particular configuration probably only could have been made in the 60s. Sex farce movies and comedies like this is definitely, a genre that decade was pretty much reveled in. I don't know if there's another one quite like it. Yeah.
No, I don't think so at all. Like, because, good, upstanding, boys and girls who go to college and who are trying to become a part of the American system, they're the ones that follow the rules correctly. They follow the rules of the world. And the rules of the world say to this is that you didn't live together before you were married. And believe it, I mean, that's kind of like, it's pretty much gone now, except in like, your more conservative circles. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I want to make that very clear.
We're just noticing the trends.
Yeah, it's definitely a trend here. Nowadays, like you could see people, living together to do specifically what she's talking about this movie is definitely like a definition of a period piece. Like, you can't remake this movie now. I mean, you maybe could. You'd have to tweak it a little bit, but you couldn't remake this movie now with what it is. You also have other factors in there as well. I will say, like, with the quote-unquote, sexual revolution, which is really just, where it's not the fact that it became more casual.
Well, there was an element of that, for sure.
The reasons why people were having casual sex, or the reasons why women started having more casual sex, probably weren't as big in that time period as well. Which, again, it's like, I'm not going to live with somebody. I'm not going to potentially do something with somebody that I don't want to marry on the greater chance that I'm going to have a baby.
Yeah.
See, that doesn't exist as much anymore because we have things like different types of contraceptions, birth control, condoms, things like that. I know I'm getting really into the weeds here, but because
we're getting into the social, we're getting deeper into social issues that this movie doesn't directly touch on.
Yeah.
It does at least provide you with some things to talk about, even if the movie itself is not one to necessarily revisit, but it's like it does at least get you talking about certain aspects. With some of the things I would say kind of gets wrong, or at least it portrays in a way that's kind of cringe. I mean, there's a number of them, but the idea that it's like, first of all, the way the movie portrays it, first of all, is like you have them living in the same apartment building, and I guess it must be a one-bedroom apartment or something. I don't remember actually seeing a bedroom though. That's the thing; you still don't see the bedroom because she looks like she's sleeping in the kitchen area, and he looks like he's sleeping on the couch. But the way that they have it set up is that they're being separated by a screen that's basically just a sheet, which is sheer and see-through, and even is shown to her as being backlit, which I thought was ridiculous at that. It's like, and of course he's like, I can't look away.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of stuff in there. But
it was for me, like, I think that, there's no real bedroom, because like, it's one of those concepts where it's like, everything kind of exists in the same exact room. You just have different sections of the room. So like, you have the bed, like the bedroom was that back wall, or that back part where that curtain was. Of course, again, this is like an open concept, which I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I know architecture or architectural history, but I maybe have seen enough 60s type stuff to go, at some point in the bachelor life, that was kind of a thing.
The very open apartment where there are no walls. Because for me, it was like, I'm looking at that and was like, this is like it was built for a stage.
See, I agree with that as well. I agree with what you're saying because you've got those scenes where, he's watching her behind the curtain and all the things that she's doing, and he's like getting hot and bothered by it. So it's probably that. And, did you know this was actually a play?
I suspected it was. I had, like, you have that sixth sense going now that in Movie Bones, we've kind of developed that sixth sense.
Yeah.
Where it's like, this was a play before, wasn't it? Yeah, I was picking up heavy play vibes from this as well. Definitely. But the idea, and I guess that's how you would play it on a stage too, with that scene that we're talking about. It's like, but as far as a logistics thing, it's like, dude, look away, at least. And it does portray men as having having very little self-control whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? If you entered into this agreement and you're actually going to give it your best try, it's like you still have motor control, dude. You can look away. And on her part, it's like, it seems like they're doing things deliberately to tempt each other, to tempt the situation away from where they wanted to go in this whole experiment. And it's like, and for her part, it's like, you think a very sheer screen is enough to hide, and then you put a light on that kind of is, it's comedic, and it's supposed to be comedic, but at the same time, it also makes it stupid.
Yeah.
Which at the same time, it highlights another aspect. You could say that even transfers into a lot of the ways that the characters are portrayed through a lot of these quote unquote tempting situations, which brings me, of course, to Hogan. Because he's the big source he's the devil on the shoulder, right? You mentioned this. He's the devil on the shoulder. He's the tempter trying to lure them away from each other so that he can get his own angle in on Robin, is the so-called not quite fiance. Okay. The things they do to put her in situations, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To make that happen.
Well, I got two things to say on this. The first thing I want to say on this is that, it's something interesting seeing Jack Lemmon. Because last time we watched the Jack Lemmon movie, he was the other side of this in its own way.
Oh, yeah. He's complete opposite of his character in the apartment.
And good on him for having range. And I do, I want to applaud his performance in this movie.
Hogan is such a complete over-the-top sexist, and it's like there's no doubt in anyone's mind. There should not be any doubt in anyone's mind what his primary motivation is. He doesn't hide it. As she acts like it's all innocent, and I had a problem with that, but yeah.
Then, of course, you've got Jack Lemmon's character, Hogan. Who is
As you said, he's Quagmire.
Is that
from Family Guy?
I looked it up, and I couldn't find anything that said that Quagmire was based off this character. However, Quagmire is based off of multiple types of characters that existed from 60s and 70s, which, this puts this in this box.
In that range, for sure, yeah.
Who were exactly like this. So there's a good chance that, this was part of the inspiration and everything for Quagmire. And it really also says something, too, that in the 60s and 70s, we had a lot of these debaucherous types of characters that existed within film and television. Because what are we trying to say?
It is such a degrading, kind of attitude towards women that says, it's all just locker room talk, and not making the illusion specifically, but it's all just locker room talk, and this kind of stuff. It's all innocent, and it's no harm done, kind of a thing. It's like, and that's the way it's portrayed, but there's a real fallout from that kind of a thing. So you have to trying to watch a movie like this, and it's like at least the movie does give that character plenty of pincushion moments. I wanted more. To be honest, it wasn't that they didn't try. They did try, and I'd like to see his character suffer. And it was the funniest when I did see his character suffer. That is Hogan for doing all this terrible stuff that he's doing. Like I said, he could have been tortured for another good 5 or 6 minutes, and I would have been I was just like, that's about right. That's exactly where I wanted to be. He could have fallen out that window and kept breaking parts of his body for another 5 minutes, and I would have been happy.
But that girl's got her clock worked in backwards.
So yours are perfectly all right.
Which, confirming my earlier opinions, means that what she actually seeks is a man who doesn't pamper her every desire. Do you follow?
Now, Hogan, at 9 a.m. in the morning, I have examinations. Now, I got to get some sleep, okay?
Yeah, you're darn right. Now, the problem is how to set the stage so that... Now, pay attention to me, boy. I've had a lot of experience in this field. I'll be an inestimable help.
How lucky can I get?
Since this dear, sweet child cannot face up to her unconscious desires, it's up to you to make it easy for her to face up to the unfaceable. Huh?
How was that again?
And in such a way as to make it seem to her that she herself, and not you, has dispelled her resistance. Now you follow that, huh?
Oh, of course. It'd never do to simply go upstairs and attack.
Oh, that she'd be bad to look upon. I would disfavor her.
How about sneaking up behind her with a handkerchief soaked in chloroform?
What are you talking about?
Our firm grip on the soft.
Brother, I don't think you're taking this thing seriously. Now, you have got to listen to me, boy. It's imperative.
I really was like, officer, honestly, it's like the guy had it coming. That would be my next line. That's why I wanted to cut to the police investigation of his murder. It's like he was so good at being annoying. I think he's almost too good at it, really.
Yeah.
And but I wanted him dead at a point. It's like I rarely have felt that much animosity towards at least he's a not an actual person. It's just a fictional character, obviously. But he did such a good job at annoying me. It's like actually this would be grounds to at least knock down the murder to maybe to a second or third degree, or maybe even manslaughter at some point. It's like, he's still guilty, but I wouldn't throw the book at him, kind of a thing.
You want to know something funny about his logic is that the things that he's telling, this is what you need to do to keep her away from you.
Oh, yeah.
What's funny about that is actually how wrong it is. A lot of people find, working out or, the results of working out, even if you just got done working out, to be an attractive part because you're taking care of yourself and everything. It's its own culture. There's a culture around that. Yeah. Yeah. And then so when he's talking about him being tired and everything, and also too, it's like, that's another thing about working out. Working out gives you more energy over time. Now, not right in the moment. It gives you energy over time. And so it's just like, and when he's sitting there doing that analytical part of my brain that knows things about working out, I'm like, huh?
What was going through my mind at that moment was like, in fact, it's like the whole point of this exercise is to find out what life together is like. And you're doing things right now that you would not be doing if not under the influence of this idiot. So it's like you're actually defeating the purpose because she's going to think, oh, part of his single life is that I didn't know about was that he's really into exercise that I did not know, such to the point that he's going to collapse on the couch every night. And it's like, well, that's setting yourself up for a false expectation right there. You're undermining yourself. It could have been played with, if it was a deliberate thing that the script had knowingly winked at the audience. It's like, and one of the points is that it's just this artificial environment, this artificial influence is actually defeating and undercutting their main goals. That could have been more, high concept, at least, for what's still going to be essentially a sex comedy. Essentially what that is. So it's like, it could have been a little bit more high concept. It didn't actually play with that any more than that one idea. I do fully approve of, I kept wanting him to finally put a bolt in the door. The thing with the keys was kind of funny. The way they played with the keys, that he has a million keys that he keeps letting himself in. But then you got to learn from that. And it's like, finally he put a bolt in the door, but the funny thing is it never actually came into play to stop him. It never actually stopped him.
It's not just not just him walking in, it's always him sneaking into the room. And it's just and then the first time where he sneaks in and he's pouring water into the thing or the fake water. And the guy's like, well, those are fake. Those are fake flowers.
Those are fake flowers.
He's like, well, that's probably good because that's no water.
Because there's no water. I mean, there are moments like that are funny. It's not without its entertainment value. I'll say that. It's just that it's so frustrating at times having to deal with some of the character choices. That to me is the biggest drawback. And since it is still focused on character to some degree, it's like it does take away from my ability to say it's going to hit the rewatchability factor big time. In fact, and you'll see exactly where that shakes out when we come closer to the end. And again, how has this guy avoided jail? How because couldn't you call at any point the police? You could make charges against the guy. Because you have at least some evidence that this guy is violating some basic ethics codes here in terms of violating space.
I was gonna say they get some actual social issues, and let's be honest, social issues like that were that should be criminal issues weren't as looked upon like they should be back in that time period. I mean, we're just now kind of getting to a point where we do believe people who come forward and say.
Yeah,
hey, this is what's going on. And
but if it's the guy, though, wouldn't even during the sexist time period, wouldn't if the guy called the police and said, "Hey, I'm going to call the cops on you. I don't care if you are the landlord. You can't barge into a private space that even if you're the one who let it out. That's an abuse of the contract somewhere."
Maybe that's one of the reasons why. I guess I don't know. When stuff like that does happen in comedy movies, when I usually just fall down on it's I guess I need to suspend disbelief here. Because you're right.
And there is something to
you're
that.
Absolutely right. Because it is everything he does is wildly uncomfortable.
He gets into your skin.
Highly unethical, and yes, oftentimes illegal.
Yes.
Because we're not just talking about harassment. We're talking about voyeurism. We're talking about kind of stalking. We're talking about breaking and entering. Even as a landlord, you're still breaking and entering oftentimes. Anything that falls under kind of criminal complaints, he kind of does that in this movie.
Yeah. And speaking of things that are illegal, and it's as you mentioned in your notes, they do finally get Dean Jones to cross a moral line. And he does at least recognize it before he goes obvious to its obvious conclusion. But it does kind of take away from this, maybe that's the point, is that he's stepping into the shoes of almost Hogan at that point. Out of sheer frustration, it's he's going to end this almost the way that Hogan would. And I'm like, no, dude. It's and it's it does take away some dignity from the character. But you mentioned that too. And we both had, had this is getting a little creepy here.
That was the uncomfortable part of the movie. For those of you that maybe don't want to watch the movie because of things we've already talked about, or you do, and you just want to be kind of warned beforehand. Really, what's not really super talked about in this movie, and I would say it kind of drives both of our male leads here, weirdly, is the fact that she is a virgin. It's not talked about, but it's something I thought about throughout the whole entire movie. It's they're both trying to get to that point where it's just push her off the edge and then, she's good to go, which I'm not agreeing with. I want to make that very, very clear.
No. But it does,
It kind of does push all of that to the center at times. But anyways, so he's decided what he's going to do is he's going to give her a perfect night. But part of that perfect night is also getting her drunk enough to where she's going to be, good to go. In all honesty, though, we all look at that now. Rightfully so, we all look at that now and go, you're trying to get her drunk so you can have your way with her without her consent, which basically means you're trying to rape her. And that's what it felt like. And then, like, thankfully, he has like a change of heart.
He's a moment of clarity.
And he's like, I can't do this. And he doesn't say it, but he's like, this has got to be a decision we both make. Because that's what marriage is. That's what a relationship is. It's that. And then he decides to leave stupidly. Like, that's another thing that happened. I was like, what are you doing? You know who's across the hall.
And you know that he has, as he said, as Hogan himself had told Dave, he has an endless supply of those keys. Yeah. And you can't bolt lock the door from the outside, dude.
And then he leaves, and then freaking Hogan shows up, and it's like, this is really, I'm not kidding you. I'm not finding this scene funny. Like, I was like, this
got
out really
and
dark really fast. And it's because, like, you know, when you think about, for those of you that watch Family Guy out there, when you think about Quagmire, you think, I know exactly what's about to happen next. And
yes,
the tension in this movie kind of is the next couple scenes where you're sitting there going, did he? Like, this movie wouldn't do that, though, would it? And thankfully, what you learn is that, it doesn't. In fact, she seemed to somewhat sober up, which was a good thing because she remembers what happened the night before. And she's like, no, I didn't do anything. And then it does kind of return itself, like the whole joking back and forth, like, what did I do? Who did I do it with? And everything is, you know, that takes the seriousness off of it. But maybe in the 60s, that was a lot funnier. But just in the consciousness of today's mind, that particular scene is like, oh my gosh.
I know, right? It feels like it's like, I don't know. And that's what really takes the movie down from potentially, especially because it tries to come back on a high note. And this is where I would at least say it differs from, like, you know, Cactus Flower, in that Cactus Flower took a good character who had standards and lines that she would not cross, and they were good ones, and turned her into someone who was just basically, you know, let's go with the flow. You know, just go with the flow. And whatever happens, happens. And it kind of just abandoned its sense of morality as time went on. Whereas here, it's like, but her aunt was the angel on the shoulder as opposed to the devil that Hogan represents. She's way underutilized for that, by the way. We both thought she needed to be in it more. And she did, to be honest with you. But at least she's brought in at the end to say that, you know, this is going to be my last sermon to you guys. You guys have managed to scrape through this. But here's something you can actually learn from it.
Robin, love isn't a mechanical arrangement worked out over laundry tubs and ovens and sharing bathrooms together. The attitude of love is to wish each other well, to cook for him and darn his socks and take care of him when he's sick because you wish him well. And for you, David, to work for her and forgive her when she's a boob and put up with all the makeup on your coat and the car fenders she'll dent and her moments of bad temper. Because you wish her well. Love doesn't suddenly drop from a tree and stay with you forever. Just like any other husband and wife, you're going to have to create love each and every day of your lives. Now go on, get married and start living together properly.
Makes me wish he had said that like in the first 5 minutes, but then there wouldn't have been a movie.
Yeah. And I really do love that line. You know, it's like, you're doing this for each other. You're doing this to please one another. You're doing this to help one another. That's really what it's all saying. It's like, you're doing this because you care about each other. And I thought that was beautiful. It's very much not odd, but it's like coming from the place that it comes from. You're sitting there still going like, I can't believe that this movie pumped this out at the very end. Especially after what I just watched.
I know.
That couple scenes ago. But it's still it's still a very nice line.
It gets love, the essence of what love is, down to, it's like, it's not something you can figure out, you can calculate ahead of time. That it's like, that just, you know, by practicing it in a moment, here and now. Because love is an attitude. And as long as if both people recognize the attitude is correct, which is that they're willing the good of the other for the sake of the other, and that is their primary attribute, and it's a very broad attribute, it has many ways of expressing itself. But at the end of the day, you both recognize that in each other, and that will help you through no matter what unpredictable things life throws at you, because no two married couples, and you and I will know this, your experience as a married man and with your wife, and my experience as a married man with my wife, they're both going to have their individual struggles, and they're not going to look the same, but they're always going to be able to handled with the grace that comes from that attitude. So you look for the ones with the attitude, and then you commit to it. And that's what it is. Like, if you know that they're the right one, then just go, as she says, go get married. Go get married. You guys obviously have each other's best interests at heart. You guys are already willing the good of the other for the sake of the other. Everything else, in the movie, we can come to, at least there's that the movie says at the end. And that's where it comes down to, it saves it from being either a don't look at it or worse yet, a kill it with fire. Because this is a once and done, but mostly for the fact that it at least has that at the end of it. It pulled itself out of the whatever moral ambiguities it might have had before going on. By giving that message at the end, it was enough for me to go that far with it. I won't be looking back at this movie. It's too uncomfortable to watch, to be honest. Just till you can get to that last scene. I might look at the last scene, or I might, but that's about it, How about you, man?
So I thought this movie, like, I said in my notes that I thought this movie, one of the things that I think would have worked better with this movie is if, like, you actually had her aunt in there more, Dr. Irene Wilson.
Oh, yeah.
Who's played by Eddie Adams. I think it would have been perfect if, like, totally. She was, like, the angel on their shoulders and Hogan was the devil on their shoulders, and they were kind of fighting back and forth. Because, like, I really thought there was something there. It kind of made me think there was more there to the movie when it was first written, because, like, at the end of the movie, she says, like, I actually loved you, Hogan. And I believed him for that most part when he said, you're the first person that's ever actually cared about me in that way. I believed him when he said that, and I actually think his character was, but, like, and it's probably a good thing that his character ending is the ending that it is. And that is, he doesn't learn anything. He is left kind of alone. And, it's just one of those, who else but Hogan, which, if y'all know the reference, is a who else, Quagmire. However, to say all that, I would have liked that version of the movie. I think probably even more than I would have liked this particular version of the movie. I don't hate this movie. I actually like this movie for the most part. The comedy's funny. The acting's great. I just don't like that. I mean, obviously, I'm not a fan of that particular scene. It's very uncomfortable. But and also the other problem I have is the one-note script is kind of something. It can be good at times, but more bad than good. Again, there's more to do with the story that could have sent it up a notch. But I do think it's a Bad Dates movie. It's not a Kill It With Fire. It's not a Don't Look at It. Bad Dates, when you want to watch something funny. I'm not kidding you. Like, even though it wasn't a lot, anytime Paul Lynde is on the screen, I'm laughing. Like, and that's just, like, he's just funny. The woman he plays his wife is funny. She plays, her name is Dorcas, Imogen Coca. She's funny. The hijinks of Hogan is funny because it's like, it's just ridiculous.
I did like the scene where her aunt is revealed, Imogen Coca's character reveals the truth about Hogan by showing her all of his little tricks, Yeah. And it's like, that was funny. It's like, oh yeah, she was really having fun giving that, almost like, one of those game show presenters, would like, and here's his cabinet with all the keys, and here's, like, yes. She was having fun with that, and I enjoyed that.
This isn't really a reason to watch the movie, but, like, the end scene, like the actual end scene of the movie with the cat, I thought that was funny because, like, the cat plays a role in the movie the whole entire time, which I think is funny. Like, there's a lot of funny in this movie, but it's not something I'm going to sit down and be like, if there's other things that I want to watch, I'm going to sit down and watch those things first. This is like a random Sunday or Saturday, when you ain't got nothing else to do and you can't even go outside. Like, this is that type of movie.
And you probably won't want to watch it again. It's just that,
Yeah.
Just to experience it once. Yeah, we're pretty much in agreement on this one. So at this time, we'd like to remind our listeners out there that if you're having a good time with Ryan and me dusting off these old movies in search of celluloid treasure, please do like, subscribe, and comment. And of course, follow us on your podcast purveyor of choice. Tell us what you think we got wrong. We're not perfect. And clue us in on a few titles you'd like us to see cover on future episodes. As long as they're available for free on Tubi or the like, because this adventure comes with no strings attached. And on the subject of future episodes, Ryan, what should people tune into next week to get ready for the next episode?
A big one, like a heavy movie. It's got to be heavy. All right.
I chose the holidays to watch it over so we'd both have a chance to get it. It's like 3 hour long movie. Yeah.
This definitely won an Oscar, right?
I don't know.
This is what Tubi says. During the trial of 4 German jurists accused of legalizing Nazi atrocities, Judge Dan Haywood must make the most harrowing decision of his career. This is directed by Stanley Kramer. This is starring Spencer Tracy, Burt Lancaster, Richard Widmark, Marlene Dietrich. And this is the 1961 movie Judgment at Nuremberg.
Judgment at Nuremberg. And we have seen Stanley Kramer before, but in a very, as directing a film, but a very different one. It's, do you remember that one?
I'm trying to remember.
It's a mad, 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 mad world.
Oh, yeah. So it could be the same title, though. It's a mad, 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 mad world.
Different kind of madness.
Yeah.
So anyway, folks, that's what we got coming next week. Please do join us for that one. I think it's probably going to be a good one. It's probably going to be worth all of our time, I hope. In any case, Ryan, I'll see you next week. And folks out there, we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.